Hi.
Hi.
I'm Nick.
I'm Jill.
And we're
HipStrings.
Welcome to day 9 of the Base12 Spinalong for 2024.
This is the last day where it's like on board with how people normally think about counting.
Regular equivalent to decimal day, yeah. And I actually noticed something very weird. I looked down at the days I have left to spin. I have spun all the same days you have, although in different order. For some reason,
Really?
Yes, the last 4 days are my same.
The last 4 days? That's very cool.
Odd. So I'm gonna roll my die while you do your thing. All right. I don't get to tell you what day I'm spinning.
Day 9 is Odin, which is one of our mythology blends. So this is 50% Merino, 25% Shetland, 12.5% Tussa Silk, and 12.5% Sari Silk.
That is not what you have on the card. Or do we have one of the bad prints?
We might have one of the bad prints.
Okay, that's what I thought. All right. So maybe we shouldn't have been reading what's on the card.
Well, that's why I said I know that that Kingfisher is wrong.
Okay. All right. And mine is a secret, but it's very, very pretty. I'm going to split mine up. Okay. And
I was spitting on my aura today, and I much prefer my aura to this rose. Or it just might be the woolly one, or I don't know. My current setup is not
your preferred one?
Not my preferred one.
After we
and that's
spent
going to
all
be
that
my
time talking about preferred wheels and those stuff.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you bring that one down for next time?
No, it would be different.
What do you mean?
It's a double drive wheel. I can't swap bobbins.
No, I mean next year.
Next year, yes.
I'm planning very far.
Yeah,
ahead.
well, I expect next time is tomorrow night.
No. Sorry, I should be more clear. And Christina says hello.
Hello.
So,
I think I'm spinning from the wrong end.
From the wrong end? Oh, yeah. So, we talked about how do you tell before you start spinning. How do you tell while you're spinning? What did you find out?
Usually it doesn't draft smoothly.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. Actually, now that
it goes in like fits and starts.
Makes a lot of sense for me now because, like, if you are running your hand along it, it's the same way as the fibers that you're pulling it, and if it feels smooth in that direction, then okay, cool. It's all coming together now.
It all goes back.
And Laura says,
connected.
"Guess who's back again?"
Oh, you've been missed, Laura.
Yeah.
Backstreet's back.
All right. Yes. Welcome back, Laura. And Amy says, "Happy Friday. I'm all caught up, but spun this afternoon so I can go to bed early for my early alarm tomorrow." Laura says, "Nice one-piece sweater." Thank you. Yeah. So this, I will talk about my sweater first today.
Okay.
So good eye. It is a one-piece sweater. One Piece being the very famous manga, anime, and now live-action series. It is actually in Japan on same popularity as like Pokemon and Dragon Ball. Like it's only really starting to get a large notoriety here in the U.S. But
I would bet if you get a live-action Netflix show, you have some.
Some following, yeah, right. So I got this at a store called Lunchbox. I got it last year, actually. And Lunchbox is actually a branch off of Hot Topic, where they took all of their, instead of being all goth and emo, they took all of their anime and Disney stuff and divided that out into a separate store. So there's one at a mall that's kind of far away from us, but near the IKEA. So when we're going to IKEA, it's a good stop. IKEA, Costco, and Lunchbox is a great triple stop for the week. Amy says, "Hi, Laura." Laura says, "My children love One Piece. Only 106 issues of manga." And what Laura's kind of bearing the lead in that is the 106 issues is like 1,500 chapters. And the chapters are what come out each week in a weekly Shonen Jump.
Yeah. Adrian's been reading it since he was probably, in like 4th grade?
I have a coworker who's been reading it since he was in high school. So, like, that just tells you how long it's been lasting. I've been trying to catch up to it. I'm about halfway caught up in chapter 600 something.
That is the reason why we have a Shonen Jump subscription.
Yes,
right?
yes.
And My Hero Academia.
That's actually the main reason. But My Hero Academia has ended now.
Yeah.
So, if you didn't know, in addition to my video game nerddom and the Star Wars nerddom and the fiber nerddom, I'm also an anime manga nerd. That was probably in that list, second nerddom. Video games, I think, was first, and then I got into anime, and then Star Wars. I don't know. Anyways,
in other words, Nick's a big fat nerd.
I'm a big fat geek, nerd, dork, all the things. But I will say, for anybody else who's into anime and manga, I was really surprised at the price of Shonen Jump because, for example, when I was, growing up and buying manga that was actually translated and stuff, it was like $10 an issue, which is, it's about still the price now. Maybe it's up 12, 14, something like that. You can get access to all of Shonen Jump's comics, which include My Hero Academia, One Piece, a Dragon Ball, all the different versions of Dragon Ball. Also some other really nice ones. There's a really super sweet one that I'm reading about a boy who's a comic artist and wants to make anime, falling in love with a rising star in the music scene, and they fall in love with each other. It's really super sweet. And then there was another story about ice skaters and competing. Anyways, so you get access to all of that for I think it's $6 a month.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, my kids are going to want to buy more than one manga a month, and so that works out well. Okay, I'm done geeking out about all that stuff. That's basically coming off of my sweater here. So, how about your hand?
So, my sweater is a Stephen West mystery knit along from a couple years ago, the Slip Stravaganza, which was the last mystery knit along I did. But I decided I didn't like the last clue, and I hacked something else.
You just decided to do your own thing?
I did my own thing. But this is various, it was all from Stash.
I mean, it works so well together.
Well, this is why you should always buy your favorite colors, and then you can have stuff that you can mix together for projects.
So, let's see. I'll just catch up on the comments here. So, Laura is also agreeing with me on the insane cheapness of the Shonen Jump subscription, which is great. Tracy says, hi. Hi, all. My night off from work, so I'm spinning along for once. Excellent. Thank you. Welcome. Michelle says, hello, friends. Okay, so maybe I missed something about bad prints of cards. My card says that Odin is 80% Rambo and 20%
okay,
so Silk.
No, that's incorrect. So apparently, I did not get everything right. So Odin is 50% Merino, 25% Shetland, 12.5% Tussa, and 12.5% Silk. There's a bit of cut and paste and rearrangement that goes along with the fiber keys every year as I decide the order for everything. So mistakes were made.
And they will be repaired in some way, shape, or form. I guess what we should do is go to the description of this video for the future, and we'll go back and edit.
But if you look up Odin on the website, that lists the correct
ratio.
Yeah, because this has been a signature blend that's been around for a while.
And there's a good story behind that. I'll catch up on some of the comments real quick first, and then you can go into the Odin story. So Michelle said that she started a little early, loved the texture of today. And then Kathleen said, question, when are you going to hand knit that poor bird behind you a sweater? It looks a tad chilly.
That's Gab's plan.
That's Gab's plan?
Yeah, it's Gab's duck. Gab absolutely had to have it when we were at Joanne's.
We have such a large collection of the bizarre skeletons that Joanne's has.
Yeah. But Gab does have plans to make a sweater. But they are busy knitting gifts for friends.
They have, 4 knitworthy friends?
Yeah. So they've already made somebody a hat. and somebody a cowl, and they're working on another hat, and they sewed somebody a vest.
And then the whole coat that they made.
Yes,
for someone.
and they made a coat for another friend. So, and I know that they still have plans to make stuff for everybody else in the family before Christmas. Gab does handmade gifts.
So Michelle says, thanks for the clarification, and it's all good. I'm at the absolute worst at proofreading my own stuff. So, yeah, there's always going to be some mistake in the each year. Heather also says, hey guys, can't spin with you all today. I have a cat on my lap. Which reminds me of my favorite suggestion for how to get perpetual energy. Do you know how to do that with a cat?
No.
You take a cat and you strap a piece of buttered toast to its back.
Oh, yes.
And then you throw the cat off of something. The cat will always land on its feet, but the toast will always land butter side down.
Levitates.
So the cat levitates, spinning continuously, and you just attach that to a motor, and you've got free energy.
I don't know how you attach a cat to a motor. I think it would disagree.
That is exactly why this has not been resolved yet, I think.
Oh, man. This is requiring a lot of concentration.
So, why don't you tell the story of Odin?
Well, it's... Okay, so...
Do you know what story I want you to tell?
Oh, why there's a lot of Odin?
Well, no, the fact that there's Odin, and then...
There was Odin's son.
Because you couldn't get the materials for Odin.
For Odin. And then I could get the materials again, so Odin's back.
And we don't have Odin's son anymore, right?
No.
Okay.
So a lot of my colorway names and like signature blends and stuff sometimes are derivative. And it's because they're related to each other in some way. So like Odin and Odin's son. There was Poseidon was another mythology, and I did a revision of Poseidon, and that was Perseus. Perseus is the son of Poseidon. Advanced marriage counseling. There was originally a colorway called marriage counseling, which was a one of a kind. And when I tried to replicate it, I made it a little darker, and that became advanced marriage counseling. Like prose and ancient tomes and bibliophile are all related colorways. Not just by name, but like how I built them and like their derivation. Yeah, their derivations on each other.
Yeah.
So it helps me keep everything like connected in my brain.
So if you ever see two colorways, a new one and something that is reminiscent of something that you saw before with a similar name, you'll know that there's some connection.
We went from peacocky, which is merino and mulberry silk, to peacockish, which is merino and tussa silk.
Yeah.
They're almost the same colors, but they're slightly different.
Well, there's also the fact that after you had it, everybody started having peacocky, and you just had to do something different. Let's see. JK Knits For You says, after days of not spinning, I finally get to spin. It's so nice. Well, welcome, and thank you for joining us for that. And Kathleen says, do you ever use Columbia wool in your blends? I find it spins much like Corriedale.
There is not commercial sources, as far as I know, like that I know of, for hand dyeing for Columbia. So.
But if you know of any.
If you know of one.
And it'll be good for us to get access to that.
Yeah, if you are a dyer, there's not that many places that sell at like the right scale for indie dyers. So it's usually pretty easy to tell where people are getting their fiber from.
Well, and that's one of the tricky things, you know, when you're getting fiber to dye, and in order to make it worth the time, it has to be a fairly large volume, and then for you to be able to
but what's
put that
large
money
volume
up front,
for me
right,
is not large volume for like a clothing brand or a
so
yarn brand.
Sometimes it's hard to get access to certain types, either because there's too small of a supply, or in order for you to get access to it, it requires way too much of a supply. So
Yeah.
And Kathleen is asking, how much do you need? I do know some breeders, so maybe you should have some conversations later on.
Yeah. At least 20 pounds at a time.
All right.
For a reasonable rate, like reasonable cost.
You're watching creation of a new supply live, guys. This is how it happens. All right. So what else? I actually, so this requires a little bit of a backstory, so I'm not just saying random things out in the air. So we started watching Red One. We didn't get to finish it. If you guys like Christmas movies at all, this is actually really, really good.
Much better than I thought it was going to be.
It's a good action movie. It's funny. It's
Christmas lore.
Christmas. It goes into all sorts of different types of Christmas lore. So it's not your claymation Santa lore. It goes into a whole lot of extra things. So it's really fun. One of the things,
and they correctly identify that Santa's reindeers are female.
Which you really like that part.
I really do.
Would you like to go into?
So Santa's reindeer have to be female because male caribou shed their antlers during the winter, and it's only female caribou that still have their antlers during the winter. So therefore, all of Santa's reindeer, because they're always depicted with still having their horns or antlers, are therefore female.
Laura's saying that Lee Meredith made some of the hats, apparently.
Oh, really? That's crazy.
So, anyways, definitely watch it. It's free on Amazon Prime right now, or it might actually still be on theaters, which blows my mind
Might
that they're
be.
doing both of those. But we're only halfway through it, so I don't know if it ends well, but it's really fun so far. Anyways, so that, where was I going with this? Oh, yeah. That, because it had all sorts of different Christmas lore, got Gab to share a video with us about disturbing Christmas lore from around the world, mostly Europe.
Yeah.
And there's all sorts of little things we can talk about with that, but that made Jill have the comment about how you're supposed to decorate your wheel between when and when?
The idea is that in like medieval Europe, that most people, because spinning was a chore rather than something, and to actually rest during the 12 days of Christmas, because it was generally 12 days of feasting and merrymaking, people would decorate their wheels with greenery, like holly and ribbons and stuff. So between Christmas and Epiphany, and then the idea that you would get back to your spinning on St. Distaff's Day.
So that just sounds like punishment for everybody here, but I do know that lots of people like to decorate or mark their wheels in some way, or sometimes the wheel makers themselves like to put marks on them, like the ladybug has a ladybug on it somewhere, right? So I actually wanted to ask everybody, what have you done to decorate your wheel? What sort of markings, or obviously not the type that prevent you from spinning on it, I guess. Or maybe you have. Maybe you've put some things on it.
I know there are modern spinners that still do it.
Yeah. So what's your favorite wheel decoration, or what's something cool you've done? By the way, Laura notes that the patterns for the hats from Red One are free on Rav. And notes the Yule Goat and also Union Break, presumably for the time that you're supposed to stop spinning. Was it... I lost track from the video that Gab was sharing. Was it the Christmas Witch was the one that has the one giant foot?
No. That's
who was that?
It was one of the Icelandic, but not gorilla.
Yeah.
She has a club foot from spinning on her spinning wheel. And if you haven't spun your flax for the year, she comes and stomps on all of your flax.
All your unfinished flax.
All your unfinished flax.
Yeah, so make sure you get your flax done for the year. All right, Amy says, I bought my Lundrum used, and it came without the Made in Canada sticker on the back. So I got one and added it. Nice. Roseanne says, the only decoration that I have is a small basket that holds my tools for spinning, which is, I mean, decorations can be functional, form and function.
I have a, like, behind the door cabinet, like, hanging thing that fits perfectly on my flat iron. That I use for, like, bobbin storage and stuff.
Yeah. It's originally a cabinet basket, right?
Yeah, it's a cabinet basket.
That's one of the great things about the wheels that are... Castle wheels don't leave a lot of space for you to hang things on them, but the Saxony wheels, having a cabinet door basket...
Yeah, I leave things on... I have a Jensen Ashley, which is a double table Norwegian style wheel, and I constantly leave stuff on one of the tables.
Lenora says she has a TARDIS Blue Gallifreyan S10.
Nice.
Michelle, it has literally never occurred to me to decorate my wheel. I will say that my wheel does not have any purposeful decoration for me, but our child, at one point in time, really liked this. I think it was Christopher came around with a pen at one point in time, and I guess he liked the drawing that was on there and wanted to additionally mark on it. So I always
figured it needed to be colored in.
Yeah, without actually coloring it, just kind of vaguely waving in the same direction or in the same space. But I look at it fondly of remembering him paying attention to it and wanting to be a part of it.
We have a Louet S17 that we stained the wheel and put a vinyl decal on the wheel.
To make it look like one of your spindles.
It's the first HipStrings spindle design, chrysanthemum. And then it has a laser etched treadle that says HipStrings.
Yep. So nobody will ever be confused as to who it belongs to. Laura says, I also love the Yule Cat.
Oh yes, we finished on the Yule Cat.
The Yule Cat. What causes the Yule Cat to eat you?
Oh, I forget.
It eats people. Kids,
like so many
adults.
of the other Icelandic.
I just don't remember why it eats you. Maybe Laura does. Let's see. Joanne says, I haven't decorated my wheels, but the conversation the other night about Jill's black flat iron has me thinking. Did you ever post any photos of that?
No, I haven't. It has to go outside.
Okay.
It has been raining and snowing. Wheels do not go outside when it is raining and snowing.
All right. Well, we'll have to wait until the weather's better for you guys to be able to see this. You just might have to stick around on the Discord and pay attention to it to be able to see it. Laura says, he will eat you unless you buy or make warm clothes.
Oh, yeah, that's right. If you don't. Right. If you don't have clothes for
fresh clothes for the new year.
Which I'm about to finish a sweater for Gab, so.
Jay says,
Gab won't be eaten by the Yule Cat.
Grilla the Christmas Witch has a giant cat called Yule Cat who eats people who don't get new clothes. Yeah, okay. Diane says, I have cup holders for my Lentrum and Ashford Tradition. Laura says, I have cup holders and Starkness drop basket. Starknit's cloth basket. Cloth basket. Blah, blah, blah. Can't speak right. I can't wait to show people the... Oh, I forgot the name of the new wheel that you're putting together.
The Loan Buddy.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to cut me some more vinyl.
Yeah, but you also didn't want to put everything else together because you wanted to do something with the flyer, too.
Well, I can finish the drive wheel. That's what I need the vinyl for.
Yeah, I understand. That sounds like a this weekend thing.
Yeah.
I like that idea.
Somebody, this is not Nick, the somebody is me, finally cleared their shipping queue.
Yay! You don't know how impressive that is. Let's see. Kathleen says, my spinning binge has been pretty successful. I just caught up and now I have 3/4 of the fiber spun. Congrats. Joanne says, I was a few minutes late. Was this talked about? I'm spinning day 9, and it seems like it has more than just remoulade. And so
Yes,
yes.
there is an error in the fiber key. It is, it's one of the mythology blends, which are all 50% merino, 25% Shetland, 12.5% Tussasil, 12.5% Sorry Silk. Sorry for that.
Sorry silk and sorry words.
Yep.
Different sorries.
So yeah, I will hopefully get a couple days of relative quiet in the shop until after Christmas, because then people take their Christmas money and buy themselves fiber.
Yep. If people didn't buy you HipStrings.
And I will be open between Christmas and New Year's this year.
Yeah, we're not going anywhere. And I actually enjoy going into the studio on my days off, so.
And then I'll close down for a couple days for inventory. So please buy stuff so I don't have to count it.
The more stuff you buy, the less you have to count. All right. Let's see. What else? Laura says, I need to buy all the Southdown in purple and blue.
There isn't much Southdown, thanks to Laura. She was recommending it for one of her classes for Winterfest. Though I did, in my clearing the shipping queue, I had to do some emergency dyeing of some more. They make up everything on SDN and strawberry rhubarb on SDN. So I'm going to see if I can get those photographed and restocked this weekend.
Hey, where's the rest of your fiber?
On the bobbin?
No.
I only had 2.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my. I'm actually far behind this time.
So what is this? On the day when I struggle the most with my fiber is when I actually win?
That's the way it works.
That's not how it's supposed to work.
Yeah, well, you were concentrating.
Yeah, I am very much concentrating.
Let's see. Christine says, can you remind the sequential spinners which number/letter comes next in the base 12 counting?
So, how you count is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. A, B, 1, 0.
And the way to remember it is in base 10, you have numbers going all the way from 0 to 9.
You have 10 digits.
And you run out of digits, you run out of numbers at that point. Or run out of shapes, let's say, to represent those numbers.
So then you have to add a second column.
What you do is for the next digit, the next column, you start again at 1. I mean, technically, it started at 0, right? So if you've got 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3, right? If we're working in a 2-digit system. And then once you get past the 9, just like your row counter, right? These clicking row counters, the 9 will cycle back to the 0, then the 1 cycles, or the 0 in the next digit cycles up to the 1. So imagine if you, instead of it going back to the 0 after 9, it went to an A and then a B. That's exactly what you're doing. So you're still up to 08, 09, 0A, 0B, and then 10.
And you go 0, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 1A, 1B, 20.
Which is actually 24 at that point.
Yeah.
This is like if you go the other way, you can restrict the number of digits, and you can do like base 2, which is binary, which is what computers do everything in, and you only have 0 and 1. And so that's why
0, 1,
1
0,
is 0, 1, 2 is 1, 0, 3 is 1, 1. So it's a little bit harder to just talk about it, so I hope you can visualize what I was saying there. But hopefully that helps. Let's see, Kathleen says, anything to do with math confuses me. I just use my fingers and toes for digits. Yeah. Unfortunately, we only have...
Some people have more than 5.
Well, I said we. We only have 5 digits on each hand. But counting in binary on your hands, you can go really high, right?
Yeah.
Because each one is either on or off, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm already at 10 with just, I haven't even finished one hand. Okay, I need to keep spinning, sorry. But since you have your hands free, maybe you can take a piece of paper and do the diagram of what we were talking about.
What?
Michelle says, who uses base 12 on the regular? I have no clue.
It's apparently really good for some systems because you have something that is easily divisible by 2, 3, 6, and 4.
That's true. Base 16 is actually very common in
For graphics,
computers.
right?
Yeah, a lot of colors are represented in base 16. So if you see, something on if you go to Excel and you
like
have
the hex things.
Yeah, hexadecimal is also called 16, right?
Okay.
Because hexa, 6, decimal, 10,
So
16.
most colors get a 16.
A base
hexa-
16
a base
number.
16
It's usually
number.
4 digits. But if you go into Excel and you are picking out colors, and you ever, one of the ways you pick out the colors, it'll have this number sign and then 4 different characters where it's usually 0 to AC, right? That's a base 16 number.
Jay says you can count in base 12 on one hand because you use the space in between your knuckles. So
Oh, there
you
you
have
go.
12 spots.
All right, there you
That's good to know.
go. Heather says
useful,
congratulations.
and it's good for timekeeping because hours are 60, so that's...
Yeah, there you go. Laura also says timekeeping according to Google. Kathleen says, I use enough hexadecimal that base 12 isn't a jump, but I haven't seen 12 anywhere else. And Laura says, and music apparently base 12 is good for. Michelle says, hex colors.
Yeah,
I'm very
because most
familiar
of
with those.
your things are in music are 2s and 3s and 4s and 6.
Yeah.
So.
But the 8s are just screwed out.
Yeah.
Straight out. 12 keys in an octave. There you go. Yeah. That was from Laura as well. Yeah, so there are, our little corner of nerddom doesn't use it too much. But yeah, that's why these things are a thing. So I've heard a lot of base 16, a lot of base 12, a lot of base 2, a lot of base 10. Don't know of any other bases that are commonly used.
Base 5?
Would base 5 be used?
I don't know. I'm going to Google it.
Yeah. What other common base numbers are used?
Yeah, it's the quinary system.
Well, just because it exists doesn't mean people are using it. What do people use it for? Zaj would know. We have a friend who is a professor, excuse me, a professor in math, but the kind of math that doesn't use numbers, and not
She's like representational algebra,
yeah,
I think is what she does.
Very interesting. It makes me feel very dumb when she talks about stuff. Let's see. Jay says octal predated hex in the computer world. That makes a lot of sense. Kathleen says some ancient digitizers liked base 4. That makes sense to me. Kathleen says it's all Greek to me. I'll stick to teaspoon, tablespoon, cup measuring. Which that is all sorts of weird and messed up. I had to double up a recipe that was using 3 tablespoons. And I was like, okay, how many cups is 3 tablespoons?
Yeah, it was 15 tablespoons. What is that in cups?
Yeah, and it ended up being just this bizarre okay, how do I really convert this? Because it was just over a third. And I'm like, okay, kind of a heaping cup, a heaping third of a cup.
What is it? Is it 3 tablespoons is a quarter cup?
I don't know. We need to get Kathleen to jump in there. 1 cup is 7 tablespoons.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. I'm sure it makes sense somewhere. And Amy says, this is why I do all my baking by weight. Here, here. I appreciate that as well. Although, yes, not all recipes have that. So then you got to convert things, and then you get into the fact that flour compresses, and so you gotta sift the flour before you actually measure the weight, but you don't want to compress it while you're actually scooping. I love baking. I actually do. That's the worst part. I love baking. And we've got disagreement here. Melissa and David say 1 cup is 16 tablespoons.
What? I'm gonna Google check you.
What? Kathleen says no. 1 cup is 8 tablespoons. 15 tablespoons is 1 cup. 7 tablespoons.
Are we talking teaspoons?
I'm very confused. Yeah.
No, it's 16 tablespoons in a cup.
Okay. Very confusing. Anyway, that's why I like to use Google for my conversions there. Hey, do you want to tell the joke today, since one of our friends
Yes.
sent us the joke? You don't remember it?
No, there's been too much going on.
There you go.
Okay. So a friend sent us a dad joke for tonight. So, the best angle from which to approach any problem is the triangle. So.
And it's because it's the angle that you try with, the try.
Yeah, I think
angle.
people get it. It's not that hard.
It took me a second. And when you see it written, it's very different than when you hear it. By the way, Jay says, baking is chemistry and requires following directions precisely. Kathleen says, I usually bake by handfuls rather than measuring. It's all ratios. So those are the two complete opposite perspectives, and I love them both. You had a professor once that would evaluate.
He wanted to. He didn't actually do it.
He wanted to evaluate whether or not he could take on grad students based on their baking skills.
Yeah.
So.
But he often asked like undergrads who wanted to work in the lab what hobbies they had, and if they liked to bake, he knew that they would be good in the lab.
And you know, I actually took that with one of my technicians that was having trouble with getting the chemistry stuff right and getting the right ratios and not spilling stuff. I'm like, dude, go bake, make some cookies. Like, it'll help. Also, I get cookies. So, thank you very much, everybody. Remember, after we've had all this discussion about the numbers, tomorrow, if you are going in order, you will go
with bag
A. And so you know I didn't spin bag A yet. So there's the secret, a little bit of the secret released. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.